Allegiance to the lips of the Rocky Horror Picture Show and to the decadence for which it stands. One movie under Richard O'Brien with sensuous daydreams, erotic nightmares, and sins of the flesh for all. I also promise to be creative and not repeat what anybody else says. Now squeeze and sit down.
So my name's Victoria.
Ron Irvin.
Emily, aka Francis.
Missy Strickland.
I'm Jane.
My name is Danielle.
Gary Robinson.
Kevin Dunaway.
Jacob Franz.
Andy Kraft.
My name's Erin.
Tony Wilson.
Lizzie.
My name is Paula Gerhart.
Jenny Fiegert.
My name is Chelsea. My name is Kylie. Hannah Davis.
My name is Amy Wyrick.
Aaron Schiff.
Robin.
My name is Sydney Cooper.
Jesse.
I'm Sarah.
My name is Sandra Cusey.
I'm Melissa O'Moore.
My name is Anjali.
Scott Allen.
I am Tony Wright. I started Denton Affair. Came down to see the show one weekend. Got rice and toast and newspapers thrown on me, and I've been coming back ever since.
What was your first impression of the film itself?
It was okay, but as I watched it more and more, I got to like it even more and more. How it started was people would bring props and costumes to me, and I would do this show, and it's like, if you can bring props, you can do the show too. So Scott Mallon got up and he started doing the show, and me and him would do the whole show, and then everyone started joining in.
So you did the show between two people?
Yes.
Did you change costumes, or how did that work?
That came later. We started changing costumes and playing different characters as we went along.
No, it was a chance to do something on the weekend. Because it had shown originally in, I believe it was 78 as a regular movie. It's regular showings. And nobody saw it.
Yeah.
Everybody said I went to see it. When it went to the midnight showings, people at high school were talking about it. So I was interested.
So what was your first impression?
I was taken aback. I thought, this is the most interesting thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything so interesting. I thought, this would be fun. And the funny thing was, the person I saw up there was Tony Wright. He was trying to do the lip scene, and he was also doing the window scene. That's all he did. And he walked away from it. And he came in, and I thought, well, that's odd. Ignored that. And I came back the next week. Same thing, just him. The third week, I thought, he's doing it all by himself. So I went down at the end of the thing. Do you need help? He said, yes. So I held the frame for him, we did the windows.
Yeah.
And from there, it just blossomed. It began just hitting me. And as people would come down, they'd start giving us a wig, or they'd give us a cape or something. And get to the point that Tony and I would agree, he'd play all the male parts, I'd play the female parts. And then it started to get to the point that we need somebody to hold a flashlight. The person would hold a flashlight, then they'd start getting involved. Then they'd act the next week. It would start getting very big. I think it was about a year in, we started getting bigger, and the Inquirer came to us and said, we understand you're having a Halloween show coming up. We'd like to take pictures of it. Sure. I said, what do you call yourselves? And Tony thought about Tony was the one who came up with the name Denton Affair.
What do horses eat?
Hey, Jenny.
I had a job third shift downtown, and I did prep work early, and then I had a several-hour break in the middle, and I didn't actually start back to work till like 3:30. So I'd go see the movie, and then come back to work. That was something I did on a regular basis previously, and then I had a breakup with a girl. The breakup occurred on the night they were doing it, and I went, and that was the story when I talked to people who were just randomly saying hello, and this one very pretty girl said, fantastic! And I'm like, I'm gonna keep hanging out with these people.
Well, I just left high school. It was my freshman year of college, and everyone told me I needed to have an extracurricular activity. So I joined a youth group Bible study, and I realized that I didn't fit in there very well. And the only thing that I really liked about high school was the theater program, but I wasn't going to do that professionally. So I found a Rocky cast and I did that instead.
I was just like, this is something that I can be a part of. Like, I hadn't done a whole lot. I was 19 years old, and I was like, it's time to like break out of my shell. I'm gonna do this. So
you joined because you met him?
Yes. After we started like dating, I was going with him every other week. So it was like, well, I'm here anyway with him, and he was, you know, at that point, you were still Dr. Scott then, and was training to be Magenta. And so I was like, well, he's going to start training for a new character. Like, I guess I'll start training then, so we can be training together. So.
Well, I joined mostly because I had just come out of the closet, and I was kind of looking for something that was really inclusive, and you know, something that I could kind of just be myself and do whatever I wanted to do. I guess. My Alyssa had actually taken me to a show once, and I just like loved every minute of it. People were screaming shit and yelling shit, and it was just so much fun. And I just knew from like that minute when Alyssa took me to that show that I like had to be there.
Well, my dad was a part of it back in the 80s on the Skywalk, so my dad took me to my first show when I was 14, and I was blown away by it. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I need to come back and find out some more. My junior year in high school, Aaron Schiff called me to be a part of the cast, and
He called you?
he called me on my lunch break. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Can you talk? I'm like, yeah, I'm in school. And he's like, we need a Columbia. And he's like, do you want to act? I'm like, okay.
So I'd never heard of Rocky Horror before, ever. My freshman year of college roommate showed me the movie and was like, we need to go to this. I think either the first or second time I saw it, Melissa was playing Brad. And I was like, my mind was like, because I guess I knew, but I hadn't really understood that like girls could do drag. And I was like, I have to do this. So at the end of the show, when Aaron Schiff, the director at the time, was like, hey, we need more people, my roommate, who was also like a theater person, was like, oh, we need to join the cast. And I was like, cool, let's join together, and I'll play Brad.
Honestly, I didn't care about Rocky at all. Like, I really didn't. It was a factor of, like, I grew up in a very rural area, but I really didn't fit in with the rural area, and all I really ever did was hang out with a few of my friends and play video games in our basement. I was tired of that, and I wanted something more. Like, I always idolized, like, in characters in video games of, like, the old man at a fire telling stories to a bunch of kids and stuff like that, like the storyteller kind of concept, and I had no stories. Like, I was 20 years old and just really hadn't lived.
A handful of my friends were doing it anyway, and I grew up in a super conservative Christian household, and I was definitely different, and this was kind of a floodgate to embracing, you know, who I actually was and not who I was forced to be as a little kid.
Because I like taking my clothes off in public. And then I had already had a habit of doing that in places that were much less appreciative of that as a grown man, so I needed a place that was really going to let me, you know, do that legally.
How long have you been with the cast?
19 years.
How old were you when you joined?
I was 15.
Oh man, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Why did you join the cast?
Because I really wanted to get laid. I'm just kidding. No, I went with a friend, and I've never laughed so hard in my life, and I was like, I must be a part of this. I must be a part of this.
I felt like an outsider most everywhere else, so this place, like, even if I didn't totally click with everybody, I felt like I belonged there.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun, you know, it was fun to go and put on costumes every night and hang out with a bunch of really nice people who were making a bunch of really mean jokes and laughing about it, and it felt like a really, I don't know, like she said, like a group of friends that you don't really find anywhere else.
And like having the local scene around it too, like people knowing you from that. Like, I'm not like a famous musician or like a famous actor or anything, but you know, it's cool to be recognized in the community that way.
I'm not super close with my family, and the sense of family that I've gotten with Rocky throughout my years has been very nice. And it is very cool to have like some kind of creative outlet, you know, that you don't find anywhere else, and that's pretty like niche.
I was really sheltered growing up, so I missed out on a lot, and it's kind of given me that, what I missed. I'm not really afraid to be seen anymore. Like, I still have anxiety, but I'm not really afraid of people as much, so.
Prior to joining Rocky, I was a very insecure person, and Rocky Horror really helped me jump out of my comfort zone and try new things and be a lot more comfortable with myself.
You know, there was such a huge transitional period of my life, going into college and, you know, really becoming an adult. And I mean, that was my second family for the last 30 years. It was great.
Being in the cast gave me such a sense of belonging that I really didn't have. Like, coming out of high school, fresh out of high school, nervous about going into college. And I never found in college what I found in the Rocky Horror cast. I mean, it was like a family almost. And I know that might sound silly to say when you don't even necessarily keep up with, you know, the people after you leave the cast, but like in that moment, it was just such a perfect fit for me. It really brought me out of my shell in a way that I don't think would have happened if not for Rocky Horror. Every time I started to feel nervous, like if I was giving a presentation in one of my journalism classes, I would just think about how, you know, last Saturday I was in my bra and underwear in front of like 100 strangers. And once you set the bar at that point, you can pretty much do anything.
Someplace that I don't really have to like restrict who I am to conform to like social norms. Also just kind of like a sense of home in a city that I didn't know anybody in previously. I don't know, I've made most of my friend group is from Rocky at this point. And I could just go on and on about stupid shit we've done, but
For Rocky, it was really one of the first opportunities for me to meet other people of, I would say, creative class, people who valued all sorts of different things, but also it was my first opportunity to make friends with people who were out of the closet.
So Rocky Horror was kind of a gateway drug to me sort of starting to explore gender expression and identity. Since then, I have come out as genderqueer. I do drag now.
It's really been a cornerstone of my life. Like, I've never done anything longer than I've done Rocky. These people have your back through thick and thin. You know, they're really your family, your home away from home. And, you know, it's hard to give it up once you're addicted to it. So, which is why I can't quit ever. I'll be in the cast until I'm 80.
It meant I was able to learn management skills. Obviously, being a cast coordinator, I learned how to approach people, talk with people, so that really meant a lot to me socially and in the workforce, in my career path. Speak in public, talk to people that I probably never would have been able to talk to if it wasn't for the cast.
I think it taught me a lot about how productions in general work. Just core basics of running a show and just running like what goes into a production in general.
So I am actually a stage manager, like by profession. I just got a degree in it, and everything, especially at school, like everyone's so tense all the time. Like everything seems like it's life or death, even though it's just like a show. It's really cool to like view theater in a different perspective and like actually just have it be fun again. And like, no, it's not the end of the world and no one's gonna get like super mad at you if you like miss a prop one time.
I really realized that there's a lot of more out there theater-wise than just regular old theater that, you know, puts on stage at a high school, you know, and people are just so much nicer here than at my high school.
Aww.
And I'm able to be around people that, you know, are older than me and just more talented and just able to like see see what it's like to be around professionals, because I'd never been around that before.
I am so flattered that you call us professionals.
You guys are, in my eyes. You guys have been doing it for so long.
I'll take it.
The story doesn't end as creepy as it sounds.
Okay, all right.
I'm a hairy guy, and Missy loves cheeseburgers, and so I never really liked the hair when I performed, so I would shave my chest, whatever the case is, but I needed someone to shave my back, and so every week, every show, I would come over and I'd give Missy 2 $1 McDonald's cheeseburgers to shave my back. True story.
The kind of like unsaid rule at my house was I didn't have a curfew or anytime I had to be home because I joined in high school.
Right.
I just had to get up to go to church in the morning, and it was never a forced thing, but it was kind of a funny balance.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's 5 a.m. we're at IHOP, and
I have
I'm
church
gonna
in
be
3
in church
hours.
in a few hours. I'm
Right.
like, so another hour, then I have to go home.
I was in Team Jesus. I was the leader of it. They called me Jesus. We all wore togas made of like white bed sheets that we'd all just throw together. We would always get together beforehand, and then we would all dress up right before we went, and then just go in, have a great time. Yeah, it was a great way to meet people. I mean, there was always people that were walking around near there, or that weren't part of like the whole Rocky experience. But as everybody was outside waiting, to get in beforehand, that was always a fun time.
Right, people are just walking by like,
Yeah,
what
it
is
was just-
what is this?
That
was always a lot of fun.
I got the swine flu from going to West Virginia to see their cast. I came back and I had swine flu and nobody else did. Because they were doing Shock Treatment and Rocky Horror, and it was us, the West Virginia cast, and the Virginia Tech cast, all in like 2 rooms in a Red Roof Inn in Huntington, West Virginia. And I came back and I had swine flu and almost died, and I still don't know how, and I don't know how anybody else, nobody else got it. I was the only one who got it.
I remember one of the first things I was invited to that was like, it wasn't like an official Rocky Horror event, but it was like a cast hangout, was at Melissa's house, and they were all watching B-Movie.
When I said we would return to Transylvania, I referred only to Magenta and myself.
Do it. Join Rocky.
Join Rocky.
Absolutely do it. It's amazing.
Once you're on stage half naked in front of a bunch of people, you inevitably just develop a new kind of confidence. And I don't know if it's confidence or if it's just not giving a shit.
Oh my gosh, if you're scared at all, please join.
If you're sort of interested in Rocky and you're afraid of it because it's a little weird, that's actually the best reason to be a part of it.
Go with it, doesn't matter if you fudge up, and be willing to lean on other people.
How's it feel knowing it's been 40 years of Rocky Horror at this point?
Oh my God, I'm old. I'm so old. But it's great, it's great. I can't believe that it's gone on this far.
I guarantee you right now, if every single copy of this movie that exists were destroyed right here, right now, the community would still exist.
Damn it. I knew I should have gotten that spare tire fixed.
Asshole!
Well, you just stay here and keep warm, and I'll go for help.
Where were you going in the middle of nowhere?
Stay fresh, cheese bags.